village $10 a month, 120 a year. If that occurred or not, I don't know.
So it was a year-round?
That was year-round that we
Oh.
kept it in there, yeah.
Was it a document that was drafted by?
By Attorney Van de Castle.
Okay. Do we cover all the liability type issues with a contract like this? If this building falls or starts on fire?
Yeah, it would be in there.
Awesome.
I would imagine, Attorney Van de Castle, you're going to draft something similar to what we have, just changing of names and dates and what have you, correct? Or
If I'm authorized to do that, yeah.
oh, so the village has to authorize you to do it, okay.
Do we have to put the 2004 rates?
Whatever rate you want.
Now, is the state run off it, county run off it, independent?
It's, I think it's a private enterprise,
The curative part of it?
yes.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a nonprofit or what it is, yeah.
But I don't believe it's county or state program. It's
Well, it was.
private entity
It
now.
was when it was first started, it was.
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. This was a local connection when that agreement was, and now it's not local anymore.
So what was local, through the Red Cross?
I
Is
gotta
that
think
who
of the
the
Red
contract
Cross
is
Senior
with?
Center, whatever you wanna call it at the time.
Yeah,
It was the Red Cross / the Senior Center.
senior center.
Okay.
Pulaski's Senior Center.
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I know there's a need for it. You know, and if they can work it out with Joe and Joe said it's not a big deal, we got room. You know, and it's gonna benefit some of these people that can't go get their groceries and such, so I don't have a problem with it. Maybe someday I'll need it.
They have a car, but maybe that doesn't address the wheelchair issue like it needs to.
No,
But that car, I'm assuming, is still parked inside
no,
somewhere,
that
right?
car's outside by the senior center,
Oh, so they're scraping that, but
yeah. And I do believe they will continue keeping that car outside. This is
okay.
just for the bus.
I can see there is a difference in how do you get way up there on the bus and scrape the windows versus a car, you can kind of lean over the whole thing, so.
Does that thing heat up pretty good inside, or does it take a while for it to not heat in there?
I'm gonna talk to them about maybe getting a cover on the grill so it would,
Heat up a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be the bad guy. What about the price?
it's very reasonable right now if you leave it at $10 a month. That's dirt cheap.
What year was that contract?
2004.
2004.
So,
What's the length of contract that we're talking about here for this?
Meaning what? I would say, Bob, the best I can answer that is till we would build a building for it or till you would kick us out because you sold the building.
Well, that
Or
is a
do you-
reality.
Yes,
or do you run it for a year and address it every year?
You look at it yearly
annually?
and see what the needs is for the village, if you're running out of room, or Joe would say, hey, we're gonna get this piece of equipment in there, then you gotta start looking.
right.
I would think a yearly,
You would
I
be-
would think you'd want at least an annual
yeah.
review of it.
You know, something does
And-
change, they have time to
Right.
look or whatever.
So that review really should take place in November, possibly even October,
Probably
I would
at
say-
least,
September.
September-ish, yeah.
at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Just before
Start
budget.
that with the budgeting process about the same time frame.
Any
Price,
thought of price? Yeah. Do you want to, should it be increased or left alone, or?
Does anybody have a storage that they rent? I know it's not $10 a month.
No, it's not $10 a month.
Depends on what kind of storage you're talking about.
Right.
But
Well, that's my
Yeah.
point exactly.
yeah,
I
it gets,
have one.
I have one too, but not,
We have a our office has a storage unit over on Bell Avenue. We keep old files and stuff, and it went up, but it was like $60 a month. And it's the size of a a small single stall garage.
That's what I have one rented to in North Chase. It's $55 a month.
And it's just cold
It's a
storage,
one-car.
of
Yep,
course.
just
not
old
heated,
storage,
yeah.
one of those, like the Raider
Yep.
storage thing, that kind of thing.
You know, I don't know exactly how Curative Connections is funded. I know the rides are dirt cheap. They don't make no money on the rides. They couldn't
Well,
survive
they're
without.
heavily subsidized by the federal government.
There you go. There you go. So I'm asking you fellows this, you board members this. Do you want to take care of our senior citizens? Do you want to keep them in Pulaski? Do you want to keep them out of the nursing homes, assisted living? Do you want to keep them independent as long as you can? This service does help provide that.
How many times a week is that vehicle used?
Right now, probably one or two. But I was just telling Bob here that I met a new resident at Country Villa, a 54-year-old lady that's multiple sclerosis. And I'm sure she would be using it. Years ago, I took a gentleman that lived in the apartments for dialysis, probably 3 years maybe, 3 times a week. That could change. We did service out of the county area. They didn't like to do that, but they charged them more, but felt that it was a service to them, so we did have more volunteers back in 2005, 2006, up to 2008. They did go on more outings years ago too, more participants at the senior center. Right now that's down a little bit, but if they take that service away, they can very well, but we're reassured, like the, not the food pantry, but the Meal on Wheels, that'll never go away, hopefully, you know, that'll continue that. And that's a vital program to the area too. So you would be definitely making an impact on this service by keeping it, the rent low. That's all I can ask. Because nobody's getting rich on this.
What do you think a fair price would be?
I just want to refresh everybody's memory. At the year-end board meeting on December 18th of 2017, Roger, you brought this up under administration. I have on here, trustee Roger Burchkuski stated that this is his second attempt to the village board to allow the Curative Connection van to be able to park in the back of the library building. And he is requesting this on behalf of the volunteers. And then there was a motion made by Prentice, seconded by Bruce Burchkuski, to refer the request for parking the Curative Connection van at the back of the library building for further discussion at the next committee of the whole meeting. Attorney Vandy Castle to review and possible contract, waiver of liability, rental fee, etc., and needs to be further reviewed. This would be an asset to our community, motion carried. So we have that committee of the whole meeting scheduled for Tuesday, January 23rd at 5.
That's all I can ask, I guess.
A question that I have for you, the volunteers, is it complete volunteer? Or do the volunteers get a little something for their time at all?
We used, through the Red Cross, we would have an annual banquet party and some awards.
Okay.
And that's all. Well, once in a while, a little trinket or something, you know.
Okay.
No gold watches or anything.
So by our volunteers driving into Green Bay, there's no additional money that's available that's being paid out for that commute or anything?
Well,
If it were here, it'd be saved cost of commuters
Yes, it would definitely be a cost-effective reason to keep it, in Pulaski, that time-wise and,
for the volunteers and.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. But not necessarily a monetary thing where we could justify $20 a month versus the $10 a month.
Well,
But at the same time, contract 14 years ago.
yes, 14 years ago about.
Well, I would like to see the guy that made these changes come here and explain it to us, why he did it.
What changes, Bob?
Why they took the van away, and why they changed it to Cure Workshop instead of Red Cross and.
Boy, I couldn't answer your questions, but if you'd like, we'd get a representative from Curative to come down. That would be great. And on the committee of the whole meeting,
That'd be awesome.
yeah. What date was that
The
meeting?
23rd, January, on
23rd.
Tuesday at 5.
Okay,
That's on the agenda too.
Maybe come up with a recommendation there for a fee.
okay.
I want to make sure that I don't miscommunicate. I'm not against this. But, the cost of storage is very, very high in today's world. And I'll leave it at that.
And I can interject this too. We as board members should take a tour of our facilities that we have. We need updating. So, updating, a little remodeling, and well, I thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
So we will pursue this then the 23rd, and
On the 23rd, it'll be an agenda item for the
Okay.
committee of the whole. Such other matters is authorized by law. Such other matters is authorized by law. Third time, such other matters. 16 department reports. Public Works is excused, he is in warmer weather than we have, on vacation. Sewer and water, Tom?
I have nothing tonight, Reed.
I have a question for Tom. Water looking good in our couple problem areas that have popped up in the past.
Yeah, as far as I know, I had one concern in the early part of December, but that was briefly taken care of, but
And that was around when the pool was refilling and awfully windy.
yes, those climate conditions for that day leave a lot of suspect to stirring that system up. I'm actually pursuing this with the CTW people and going to be sending in some sampling and doing some research with a guy who is heavily into this era of the water industry. The guy is like a scientist already.
Cool.
And he is the one that has been helping the village of Hilbert with the same exact issues we have. So our contact, I haven't been in contact with him since about 3 weeks ago because of the holidays. That was kind of the break in the action of pursuing that, but we are pursuing that.
Cool. Thank you, Tom.
Because if there's something out there that could be a problem contributing to this, we'd like to find out, to rid this problem, reoccurrence.
Thank you. Police Department?
The hiring process has been advertised for the part-time positions which were approved in the budget. We were going to have Doug Prentice and Bob Gajewski, who have participated before in the hiring of officers on the committee, along with 2 officers, and we can take 1 person from another agency as a standalone in this process. I tried to reach out to some of the retired officers, but nobody wants to take and do this anymore once they're done. They just, they don't want to pursue this era of life and the way things are and the changes.
Well, it was worth a try, thank you.
It was definitely worth a try, and I thought for sure I was going to get one of the individuals, but they chose not to pursue it anymore. Registration, early registration is open for the 5K for the K9 for April, so that's out there as far as advertisement. We've had several arrests with our new narcotics dog. We had one yesterday that was a pretty good one. Again, we've been making some very good interdiction stops with the dog. And last, we'll work with Bill on this, but we're gonna have to do some ordinance cleanups. We did the moving violations a number of years ago and probably read-a-thon. And now we have some of the non-moving violations in the ordinances. And we just have to get some verbiage in there to reflect Wisconsin statutes so that they can be cleaned up. Because we have some fees in there that need to be adjusted. So now we'll leave it at that, because we're way off on numbers.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you, Mark. Karen or Jody?
I just want to state that there will be 4 elections this year for 2018. The spring primary election being on Tuesday, February 20th. The spring election Tuesday, April 3rd. The fall partisan primary Tuesday, August 14th. And the fall general election, that would be with the governor's race, that would be Tuesday, November 6th. So we're going to be busy.
Okay, Bill?
Just one quick item. I've been working with Bobby on this. We're going to be presenting to the board for its consideration an ordinance that amends our current zoning code to clarify some issues regarding accessory structures. What's been happening, I don't know that I've seen it here, but it's happening in the area. People are bringing in these shipping containers and using them as accessory structures. I'm dealing with one up in Door County where they created a garage out of them. They stacked 2 of them side by side, 3 of them side by side. Now they got a 3-stall garage. I think we can control them with our current ordinance, but we want to clean it up to be more specific so that the zoning.
See, there's another answer.
The zoning code can be enforced to prevent this from happening. Because what's happening is that the people are putting them in and claiming that they're not accessory structures, when in fact they are, but we need to be very specific about it, because they claim, well, I can just load them up and move them around. It's like, you know, there are some of these things that have wheels on them and where they put dollies on them and move them around, but so we have to clean up the ordinance a little bit again to cover that.
Thank you, Bill. Communications, there's a special village board meeting scheduled for January 16th, 2018 at 5 p.m. at Pulaski Village Hall. R.W. Barrett and Quarles and Brady will be in attendance. We're probably doing the last votes on the resolutions necessary to vote some bonds, sell some bonds. Hopefully vote. The Planning and Zoning Commission will meet Wednesday, January 17th, 2018 at 5 p.m. and that we received the plans for the quick trip, and they will be getting first look at it, and a board recommendation will come from that meeting. The Economic Ad Hoc Committee will be held on Monday, January 22nd, 2018 at noon at Glenbrook Elementary School. And the COW meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 23rd at 2018 at 5 p.m. at Pulaski Village Hall. And the regular village board meeting will be held Monday, February 5th, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the Pulaski Village Hall. And if there are no other matters to be brought up, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Roger.
A second.
Seconded by Chris Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:49 PM. Thank you all. And
The voice